Hello everybody, my name is Jennifer Maker. Today I am showing you how to make a bleach stencil shirt on the Great Maker Show and Tell. So a few months ago, I had the opportunity to visit Cricut headquarters and I got a tour. And while I was there, I did a totally new craft. I did a spray bleach stencil shirt. I didn't even know that bleaching t-shirts was something that people did, but it turns out it totally is. And you can make beautiful stencils using your Cricut. And then you take those stencils that you made and you create a bleach stencil shirt. I never would have thought to put bleach on dark colored clothing on purpose, but now that I see what it can do, it's so cool. Now to make a bleach stencil shirt, you really just need a stencil and some bleach. You can do it with both freezer paper and vinyl. Now I tried both and I really think that you can use either one. The freezer paper is a little easier to get onto your shirt, but the vinyl produced a little clearer image after you had done bleaching it. It's not a big deal either way, so pick the stencil material that you have on hand. Now the t-shirt design itself is created by putting the stencil on the shirt and then spraying it with bleach. The droplets of bleach create a beautiful and unique effect on the shirt. And the effect differs depending on the color of shirt that you start with, how much bleach you put onto it, and how long you leave the bleach. It's fun and it's really pretty easy. So for this project, you'll want a t-shirt, and I recommend one with a high cotton count for the best bleached effects. You'll also need a spray bottle that's capable of producing a fine mist. And in the spray bottle, you'll put a 1-to-1 ratio of bleach to water. Use the liquid bleach and skip the bleach crystals for this project. As the crystals can clog up your spray bottle, ask me how I know. You can also add in a bleach pen if you want to draw freehand on your shirt like I did on the Millennium Falcon here. Now for a stencil material, you'll need either freezer paper, not wax paper, and not parchment paper, or permanent vinyl and some transfer tape, plus a way to cut out your stencil material like a Cricut cutting machine. Other supplies that are useful to have on hand are a plastic drop cloth and protective gear because the bleach can be toxic. So gloves, goggles, mask. You'll want some paper towels, a Tupper bucket with cold water, and some hydrogen peroxide for washing afterwards. Now let's talk about the design. Your stencil can be either a negative or a positive. A negative stencil allows you to put your bleach design right onto your shirt. A positive stencil allows you to mask out the color of your shirt. Both create really cool effects. I'm partial to the positive stencil because of the way that the bleach spray kind of mimics the star field. But you get to choose the method that you want and what appeals most to you. Now these two designs here are really perfect for learning how to make a bleach stencil shirt. So let me show you where to find them and how to make them, how to customize them, and then we will bleach a shirt together. Step 1, prepare your shirt. Your first step is to wash and dry your t-shirt. Don't skip this because it's really important that you remove any coating the shirt manufacturer might have added to the shirt because it can interfere with your bleach effect. Step 2, design, stencil, or use one of my free SVG files. So if you'd like to use my free SVG file of the moonflower, you can do that by going to jennifermaker.com, and in the red bar at the top, hover over libraries and click on enter the library. This is where I keep all of my free files. There's hundreds of files in here. The easiest way to find the moonflower SVG is to search the page with Command F or Control F and then type in moonflower. And it's right here, and you just click that. It downloads right to your computer, and here are the files. There's the SVG. Now let's go to Cricut Design Space so you can see how to use this file. Step 3, prepare your stencil design for cutting. Measure your shirt and decide how big you want your stencil to be. And now that we know the size, we can design our stencil. Let's go to Cricut Design Space and work on that. So here we are in Cricut Design Space on a new canvas. I'm going to upload that file by clicking on Upload, then Upload Image and Browse. And we're going to go find that file we just downloaded in our Downloads folder. And select the SVG and click Open and save it. And once it's saved, we can select it and insert it onto our canvas. So I'm going to make this a little smaller so we can see. Now, one of the things I really recommend when you're designing a t-shirt is to use a template, which is available in the desktop version of Cricut Design Space. Click on templates up here in the upper left-hand corner, and you'll see there's lots and lots of templates. We want a classic t-shirt. So I click on that, and we'll be able to choose our size and our color and everything. So we're going to use a women's short sleeve shirt, size large, and we're going to color it black. By clicking on the color right here, we can change the color itself. And this is going to allow us to size our design or create a new design or whatever it is that we need to do. Since we're using this moonflower, I'm just going to click and drag it into position onto my shirt, just like this. I'm going to turn off the grid too so that you can see better. You can turn the grid off and on by clicking in this box here in the upper left corner. If you click it once, the grid gets a little bit bigger, and again, and it goes away. Let's zoom in a little bit here. All right, so now we can see whether it's a good size or not. Now I've already sized this to be a good size, but what if you wanted it smaller? Well, you can totally do that. You just click and drag on your resize handle here until it's the size you wanted. If, say, you wanted to do a design like the Millennium Falcon design I have, so you want to put in the upper corner of your shirt, you could do that, and then you could size it to be the right size. And that's mostly all you have to do. Of course, you can change the color of this if it can help you visualize what it might look like. Now, if you want to make the Millennium Falcon one, I used a licensed image from here in Cricut Design Space to do that, and I made an easy way for you to find it. You just go to a browser and type in jennifermaker.com/Millennium Falcon, and it'll take you right to like the public project page in Cricut Design Space so that you can just go ahead and use it. You'll have to buy the image, but it's properly licensed by Cricut and totally above board for us to use. So I'm going to click on Customize, and you will see that it shows up. We need to make this smaller. There we go. It shows up right here. Now it's in this odd spot because I was using templates. Now templates don't get saved with your project, so you'll have to go back in and put them in again. So let's just do that right now. So let's go put in the classic t-shirt, and we're going to change the color to blue. It's like a royal blue. It's close enough. And we can zoom in again. And we can see that this is just about the right size. But if, let's say we wanted this to be bigger, then we would just click and drag this resize handle until it's the size we wanted, right? And of course, we can do all sorts of things at this point. We could put some text here that says, in a galaxy far, far away, or whatever we wanted to put, right? This is your design. You get to do whatever you want. And that is the fun of this. And once your design is ready, you just go ahead and cut it out. And you can click on Make It, and there's your design, and you click Continue. Then cut out your design using your Cricut cutting machine. It's important to note that you do not have to, and you should not, mirror your design. You can cut your stencil from either freezer paper or permanent vinyl. Freezer paper is a little easier to put on your shirt, but the permanent vinyl gives a sharper image when you're done, so it's your choice. Note that if you're using freezer paper, be sure to cut the freezer paper shiny side down on your cutting mat. If you have a maker and a rotary blade, you can use that. Or if you're using the Explorer, you'll want to use the washi or freezer paper setting with the fine point blade. This is what I use when I cut the Millennium Falcon from freezer paper. Step 4. Use cardboard to prevent bleeding. Slide a piece of cardboard inside the shirt. This is a t-shirt form that I found at the craft store. I think it's used mostly for painting, but it worked really well for this purpose. Using the cardboard, make sure that no bleach seeps through the front of your shirt to the back of your shirt. It also helps to keep your bleach from running past your stencil lines and gives an easier surface for you to work with. If you need to protect other parts of your shirt from bleed through, just use freezer paper inside the shirt, but I recommend you put it shiny side down, especially if you're going to iron anything. Step 5. Iron the shirt and apply the stencil. Iron the shirt where you're going to put your bleach design. You want to make sure you're working on a flat surface so that your design isn't warped by wrinkles. This also helps the stencil adhere to the shirt better. Now place the stencil on the shirt in the position that you want your design to appear. If you're using vinyl, transfer it to your shirt with transfer tape. Press down well with your fingers and carefully remove the transfer tape. You'll need to go slow, as the vinyl is not going to want to stick well to the t-shirt. Slow and steady wins the race here. After you remove the transfer tape, press down again along the edges of your vinyl to make sure it is stuck to the shirt as good as possible. Now, if you're using a freezer paper stencil, place it shiny side down on your shirt and iron it. You want your easy press to be at 310 degrees Fahrenheit or your household iron at medium-high temperature and press for about 10 seconds. What you're doing when you press it is you're causing the plastic on the freezer paper to adhere to the t-shirt. The freezer paper will not damage your shirt, so don't worry about that. It's just a temporary hold to keep the stencil in place. This is why it was so important that you put your stencil shiny side down. That's the side with the plastic. Now cover the rest of your shirt that you do not want bleached with more freezer paper. Be sure to press the freezer paper so it stays in place. Step 6. Mix the bleach and test. Mix your liquid bleach with water in your spray bottle using a 1:1 ratio. You could do this step beforehand, but it leaves you open to accidentally getting some on your hands and ruining your shirt when you handle it. It's recommended that you dispose of extra bleach when you're done, or it may warp the bottles and give off some potentially bad fumes. Test the spray bottle a few times in a sink or far away from your shirt so you can make sure it's working properly and the mist setting is correct. You want a fine mist rather than a strong stream. And as I mentioned earlier, this step was so important because this is when I discovered that my spray bottle was clogging from the bleach crystals. And that's why we also want to use liquid bleach here, not the crystals. Now, you're also going to want to prepare an area to do your bleaching. If the weather is good enough, you can go outside or go into your garage. If that's not an option, you want to make sure that you're in a well-ventilated area or that you're wearing a respirator. You want to stay safe. Also, have a stack of paper towels nearby that you'll use for blotting your stencil after you bleach it. And finally, before you start, fill your bucket or your sink or your tub with cold water. Make sure there's enough of it to submerge your shirt entirely. You want this ready for when you're done bleaching. And once you're ready, you can move on to the next step. Step 7, bleach your shirt. Spray your entire design with bleach once, about 6 to 8 inches above your shirt, as you don't want to completely soak your shirt in bleach. A little goes a long ways here. You simply want the bleach mixture to make contact with the exposed parts of your shirt. Once you've sprayed it, immediately blot your stencil dry with paper towels or rags. Blotting with the towels will soak up a lot of the bleach. You want to do this so that the fibers of your shirt don't wick the bleach underneath your stencil. Remember to blot the freezer paper surrounding the design as well. Blot anywhere you see the bleach has hit. If the freezer paper gets too wet, the bleach will soak through and make tiny flecks of bleach where you don't want it. Now repeat again by spraying again and then immediately blotting again. Spraying twice helps to make sure that you got enough coverage. You can repeat this a third time, but you run the risk of bleach bleeding outside of your stencil. I wouldn't recommend spraying any more than 3 times. I really only had to do it twice. Wait and watch the design lighten and or change color. This can vary in time depending on the brand and color of your shirt. Some of mine took just 5 to 8 minutes to get to the color that I wanted them at, while others took 20 to 30 minutes. Different shirts from different brands may bleach to a different color. It depends on the kind of dyes used. When bleaching some shirts, it's difficult to tell how much lighter the design is getting because the shirt is wet from the bleach, so keep this in mind. I had this issue with my Millennium Falcon shirt, and it wasn't until I got to the next step and started washing that I could see my design and how much I had bleached it. And if you want to speed up the lightening process somewhat, you can set the shirt out in the sun for a few minutes. The heat and UV rays will help the chemical process and your results will be lighter. Step 8. Wash your shirt. Once your design has reached the color you want it to be, immediately dunk it in the cold water that you have waiting to stop the bleaching process. This is important. Do not skip it, because bleach that's just left on your shirt will eventually eat your shirt away. There's no need to peel off the freezer paper or the vinyl stencil. Just dunk it right in that water. You also don't need to wait until the bleach is dry, as that will degrade and eat at the fibers and cause holes. Once you've halted the bleaching process with the cold water, you can peel off your stencil. Isn't that awesome? Now you want to wash the shirt on a cold cycle by itself with 1 cup of hydrogen peroxide to fully stop the chemical reaction of the bleach. Don't wash with your normal clothing, as there is still bleach in the shirt and it will transfer to your wash water and your other clothing. And now dry it as you normally would and be amazed at the beautiful shirt that you've made. Here's a few important reminders to keep in mind. First, never heat your bleached area directly before you've stopped the bleaching process. So, while you're bleaching it, because the fumes are highly toxic. Once you've washed it, it's fine to heat it and iron it and all that sort of thing. And you can wash this and wash it and your shirt will be fine, so long as you properly stop the bleaching process. Make sure to have the appropriate safety gear when you're handling bleach. Gloves, drop cloth, goggles, apron, mask, etc. Always be careful. It's safer to mix the bleach and water just before you're ready to start and dispose of the bleach directly after you've achieved your desired results to minimize bleach exposure to other surfaces. After you've washed and dried your bleach shirt once, it's fine to wash it with other clothes after that. There's nothing special that you have to do. You can treat it like any other piece of clothing. Aren't these bleach stencil shirts just so cool? I mean, I love these bleach effects. They're really unusual, and every time it's a little bit different, and that makes it really, really neat. So what would you put on a t-shirt with the bleach? I would love to know. Please tell me in the comments. And if you have any questions about how to make a bleach stencil shirt, please also leave your question here or come on over and join us in our Cricut Crafters group at jennifermaker.com/CricutCrafters. We would love to have you. And if you don't yet have a Cricut cutting machine to make your stencil, I'm giving one away in my Cricut giveaway that's going on right now. You can enter for the chance to win your own Cricut cutting machine at jennifermaker.com/Cricut giveaway. And that's it for today. Tomorrow, I'll be back to show you something really cool. I'm going to show you how to apply a vinyl decal using the wet vinyl method. This is going to make it so much easier to position your decals and get them to lie flat without bubbles. It's so cool. Remember, I am always interested in your project ideas. If you can tell me what you want to make, I can show you how to make it. Until next time, this is Jennifer Maker reminding you to craft the life you love.